Hey there, web slingers! Remember when Insomniac Games announced Marvel Spider-Man 2 back in 2021, only to leave us hanging in suspense? Well, the wait is finally over. In this video we're diving deep into a full gameplay breakdown, exploring all the exciting new features and uncovering those easily missed details that you won't want to overlook. But that's not all, I'll also share crucial information every dedicated fan needs to know, from hints about the character cameos to juicy tidbits about the storyline. So sit back, buckle up, and let's swing right into the heart of action. Welcome to the Marvel Spider-Man 2 full gameplay breakdown. But okay, let's proceed with gameplay itself. To be honest, when Jim Ryan came out and said that they are going to show the last game and then some jungle appeared, I was terrified. But after 30 seconds I realized that something incredible was waiting for us, because he appeared on the screen.
You grow slow in your old age, Sergei.
A fate you will not share.
I've been in your shadow for hours, but you sense nothing. Pathetic.
Kraven the Hunter looks really cool and just emits a brutal energy. Last time we saw him in the second part of The Amazing Spider-Man, which was released almost 10 years ago, and it's very interesting because here he is going to be one of the main antagonists and not just a side villain. His main goal is to find an equal opponent, and for this reason he and his team are going to New York. But before that, one of his assistants shows us a map of a city, where we can see the characters that has already appeared in the previous parts and ones that we haven't seen in the game. On the left you can also notice the list of inmates in Raft Prison, which shows us Vulture, Rhino, Dr. Octopus, Electro and Kingpin. Among the most interesting ones from the overall map are Wraith and the Lizard, and I'll probably start in order. It may seem that Wraith is a new character, but that's not exactly true, because under the mask is Yuri Watanabe. You may remember her from the first part, as she was a cop who actively cooperated with Spidey. But after a failed attempt to arrest Hammerhead, which led to the death of her subordinates, she declared herself a vigilante, motivating her decision by the imperfection of a justice system. Well, here you can see part of her costume. It's a high probability that we'll encounter her, if not in the main plot, so in the side quests for sure. As for the Lizard, that's where Kraven seems to start his hunt. Except this isn't the first time the character has appeared in the Insomniac universe. In the first part there was a mission where you had to find a man at a Halloween party, dedicated to the spider's enemies. And guess who he was dressed up as? That's right, our scaly friend. Which allows us to make the assumption that this isn't the first time Dr. Kurt Connors has turned into a lizard. By the way, this is where Peter's status as a teacher may have played a role, since Connors often taught as well, and thus the two may have met. But aside from Wraith and the Lizard, I'm definitely looking forward to the return of the Black Cat, and not for a reason you might think. Meanwhile, the events in the trailer move forward 6 months, and we can see Queens, which allows us to make another assumption, but this time the action of the game will unfold not only in Manhattan, but also in other parts of the city. And right away we are thrown into the action, and we can observe Peter, who has already merged with the symbiote and received a black suit. And the transition from one state to other looks amazing. I like how Black Suit has certain rough edges, we should not forget that it is a living organism. We can also immediately notice some changes in the interface. In the bottom left corner we seem to have the special abilities of a symbiote, while in the bottom right corner you can observe the available gadgets. The health bar at the top, the amount of ammo and the minimap haven't changed much and looks about the same as in the last part. In this segment we can spot a lot of a symbiote's abilities, and they all look very epic of course. We also get to see Kraven's minions. And wait, what? Wolf from Metal Gear Rising? In fact, as we'll see further on, Kraven's men are actively using different robots, and I think that there will be some special tricks that will help us in the fight against them. But after dealing with the enemies, Peter hears that Kraven's gang has tracked down the lizard, and unfortunately he can't get there in time, so he assigns it to Miles, whose switch turns out to be instantaneous. In this section, Insomniac lets us check out the new transportation system, more specifically the wingsuit. It allows Miles to cover a long distance quite quickly, and by getting into a special airflow, you accelerate and keep your altitude. To be honest, I don't really understand why we need it here, taking into account that the flights on the web in the first part were really cool, and in the spin-off, Miles could add his abilities to it. But it will be interesting to see how this variant of movement works. In the same segment we learn that Genki, who is a friend of Miles, will still actively help us. For example, here he pilots one of Kraven's drones, which we apparently intercepted in the last confrontation. Upon reaching a food market, Miles realizes that he is not alone here, so he decides to eliminate his opponents as quietly as possible, which leads us to a stealth demonstration. Stealth wasn't the strong side of the first part, so even here we don't see anything spectacular. But what we do see are the new gadgets and abilities, and it's clear that Insomniac was inspired by the Batman Arkham games. So now you can weave a web to cross in different directions and throw a special gadget that grabs and stands for a while. In short, we can say that this is an improved version of a remote claw from Batman Arkham Origins. The system of capturing enemies has also changed slightly. If before there was a sign above the head of the enemy telling whether his comrades are looking at him or not, now apparently under them appear circles, which depending on the situation will vary in color. And of course we were given a look at the Miles combat system. I was surprised that his special abilities are now blue instead of orange. In some situations they are still orange, but it is uncommon when we see them take on a blue tint. And yes, instead of a symbiote's abilities, Miles has his moveset on the left, but that seems obvious to me. Soon Miles finds the lizard skin, and Peter arrives on the scene, and I suggest that we appreciate this spectacular entrance.
Ah, chills. Literal chills.
Except that our pair couldn't fully explore the place, because in the next second the lizard burst out and the best part of the gameplay began, which partly reminded me of this scene from Uncharted 4. At the beginning of a chase, Peter says the following.
Can't lose Connors. Harry's dying, and he's the only one who can help.
This of course references us to the after credits scene of the original part, where Norman Osborn visited his son in a secret facility, and already there we could have seen something resembling a symbiote.
But I'll keep trying. I will find a cure. I will. I love you, son.
Based on this we can build a logical chain. Peter finds Harry and tries to free him, but that's when the symbiote gets on his body, which is how he gets his black suit that we can see in the gameplay. During the chase we also switch back to Peter, and when we can notice that he also has a wingsuit, and will be able to do this kind of tricks thanks to it. In addition we can also note Parker's voice, which becomes rougher due to the influence of a symbiote.
I warned you about going after Connors. Now this is on you.
And in general he no longer looks like a friendly neighbor, for near the end of the chase we can observe two scenes. The first is when he and Miles shoot down Kraven's man helicopter, and it starts dropping on the civilians. while Lizard tries to escape. We have to decide, and Parker chooses saving people, but with some hesitation. And also already after a rescue, he just tosses the man aside. All these changes in his mentor's personality and behavior are even noticed by Miles, as the next scene takes place.
Let's go, man, before he gets too far.
No. He's mine.
You sure? He's got big teeth.
So do I.
He's not normally like that, right?
No. He's never like that.
Notice that when Parker goes after the lizard, his eyes on the costume switch from our traditional spider eyes towards more typical Venom. But perhaps what I remember the most about this chase is the scene where Miles grabs the drone under Yankee's control and first glides across the water and then across the land. It looks very impressive, and I hope there will be more scenes like that in the game. Thanks a bunch for joining me on this electrifying journey through the Marvel Spider-Man 2 gameplay trailer. I hope you had a blast diving deep into these exciting new features and uncovering those easily missed details that will make this game truly special. Remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss any future updates or news about Marvel Spider-Man 2 and other exciting games. I would be thrilled to have you as a part of our community. Also, don't forget to leave a comment down below and share your thoughts on the gameplay or what you're most excited about in the new game. And if you're hungry for more content, check out my reviews of Dead Island 2 and Sherlock Holmes The Awakening. They're definitely worth a watch. Until next time, keep swinging, web slingers.